Hey, it's Tim.
And it's Amy from GoWithLess. We're glad you're here. In this week's video, we're sharing all of our December spending with you. We hope you watch the whole video.
In 2015, Amy and I retired in our late 40s, and in January of 2020, we sold our home and became full-time nomads. Every Wednesday here on our channel, we're talking about our nomadic fire life. On the second Wednesday of every month, we are talking about our spending for the prior month. For 2021, we were looking to spend about $3,000 a month. That fell apart throughout the year, and in 2022, our budget is changing. More to come on that.
We hope you'll give today's video a thumbs up, subscribe over there for our Wednesday videos, and I'm going to cover three kind of quickie things before we dive into the numbers. Number one, last week we promised you our annual spending in this week's video. We looked at our December spending, we looked at our annual spending, and it was too much to put into one video, and it would have really shorted December, and we had some things that we wanted to talk about in December, so that is going to be next week. We are sorry for that. Number two, you will see, if you're really paying attention, as some of our viewers do, that when we break down a category, we're not talking about every single thing in the category. So the total is the total that we spent, but we're not saying every single penny we spent for like $1 for a bottle of water and $4 for toothpaste. That is not at that granular of a level. We're just pulling out some of the highlights when we talk about our spending. And then the third thing is, where were we? And we were in one spot for all of December, and that was on a fabulous house sit in San Miguel de Allende. We did a video all about it 2 weeks ago, our Christmas in San Miguel. We have moved on. At the moment, we are in Puerto Vallarta on an absolutely phenomenal house sit. You can maybe see the pool in the back. This is where we are staying, and this is a doozy of a house sit. So that'll probably come up in January. But what you won't see in our December numbers is any spending on a place to stay, because it was accommodated by our house sit.
There you go. So our largest category for the month of December is going to be miscellaneous, which is sort of a weird category. Why in the world would miscellaneous be the biggest when it has this descriptor? And so the reason is because we had a lot of charitable giving in the month of December. So miscellaneous, the total was $2,858, and $2,500 of that was associated with charitable giving. We like to give this time of year, so it just sort of makes some sense. We've given to a variety of organizations that just line up with our beliefs and some of the things that we like to give to. We really like to contribute in communities where we visited throughout the year, so that's something we started that's relatively new.
And also $358 in Christmas gifts to our family members.
Yep.
Okay. Auto and transport is category number two, $1,832. You want to talk about our cruises?
So this is
we now have 5 cruises booked in 2022.
This is a doozy. Usually this, because we actually no longer own a car, so it's sort of weird that this
These are weird categories,
such
one
a
and two.
huge expense this year, and that's why we thought we would do this December spending now. So we have some more cruises that we either booked or sort of finished up paying for or paid a big chunk against. And so when we book a cruise, we're splitting up the expenses between transportation and home and lodging. So that's why there's a good chunk here. So
and there could be a good argument to break it into 3: food, transportation, and lodging. We're just going to break it into 2.
Entertainment.
Yeah,
so anyway,
we're just going to break it into 2, even,
exactly
50-50.
Right. So cruises, we spent $985 on cruises in the month of December, so that was a big chunk.
Yeah, and this was our cruise number 4 and number 5. We paid a big chunk of those cruises, and we also we're going to maybe do a whole conversation or a whole video about how we're getting these cruises so inexpensively and where are we going. So I think stay tuned to check out what's happening with us and all these cruises. We're just praying that they all happen.
Yep, they're going to happen. I'm convinced. And then we also purchased $500 worth of American Airlines miles using this promotion. This was sort of a travel hack. This was a phenomenal deal. Something that came and went like within a week. I think that it was called Simply Miles, and so for $500 I bought over 120,000 American Airlines miles. So we'll be using those over the years to come.
And it was actually a charitable donation for a conservationist group.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
So that was fantastic.
I think for every $1 that you spent, you got 240 American Airlines points. So that's really great because we'll use those for international trips. We had American Airlines fees. We're flying from Mexico to the United States, and we booked our ticket. So while we use points and miles for that ticket, we still have to pay taxes and fees, and that came out to $160 for the two of us.
And that was getting from Guadalajara to Palm Springs.
Yeah, that's right. Yep. You want to talk about the credit card?
And also, Amy just signed up for 2 Southwest Airlines credit cards associated with trying to get a companion pass, and so the first of those The annual fee came due because it's immediate. It's not wiped away the first year. That was $69 that we paid in December. And then we also paid for a rental car when we were going to be in Palm Springs. It was
February.
$91. This was sort of interesting in that the fact that we were in Mexico, strangely, allowed us to book this for a much more attractive price than if we were back in the States. Don't understand that completely.
And I do want to mention that isn't like a rental car for a long time. That is one day.
That's right.
So because Palm Springs is a small airport and more expensive, when we leave Palm Springs, we are renting a car just for the day in Palm Springs, driving it to LAX airport, leaving it, so we're renting the car for just as long as it takes for us to drive from point A to point B, and then we fly out of LAX. And it turns out that was a little, it wasn't that it was much cheaper, but it was maybe like $10, $20 more to rent a car point to point and be on our own schedule versus taking a bus that seems like they're canceling with COVID stuff all the time, or a shuttle. Because it's two of us, this just made sense.
It made a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
and then here's a cool thing.
This
This
is cool.
is a little amount.
So this is $5.76. So usually we're not talking about this granularity with our spending. However, this was sort of not a fun thing. So
Definitely not a fun
We went
thing.
on a little day trip out to a springs,
hot
a hot springs, and on the way there we stopped at a church. And when we came out of the church to go to the springs, we had a flat tire. And so we had to change the flat, put on the spare, which was a big thing in and of itself. And so we got all that done finally with a lot of agita. And then we finally, the next day, we went and got the tire fixed. We'd run into a nail or something like that, and it had just had there was a hole in the tire. And so to fix that tire, it was $5.76. And not only did they fix the tire, they also remounted the tire, all for this $5.76. We were there, it probably took them 45 minutes basically to make this happen.
That was a good bargain.
So it was a
That was
fantastic
in San Miguel
deal.
de
So
Allende.
not everything in Mexico is super affordable. However, fixing tires apparently is a very affordable activity in Mexico.
And this was our only day that we left San Miguel the entire month. So how unfortunate that that's the
Ironic,
one
yeah.
time that we had a flat tire. We didn't leave again. So once we had that, we said, we're staying in San Miguel. We don't need to worry about leaving.
That's right.
And the homeowner had loaned us their car, so we took care of that.
Generously, yes.
Okay, food and dining is number 3, and that comes in at $1,222. We're breaking that into restaurants at $1,006, groceries at $216. Our most expensive meal was $199. We took our good friends out for a celebration dinner at one of our favorite places, La Parada. We did a whole video that included them back in the summer when we were last in San Miguel. And the couple that
Included
was...
the restaurant, not the couple.
Oh, I
said
think
included
over the
them.
restaurant. Sorry, yes, the restaurant was in that video, La Parada, a Peruvian place. And this was the couple who invited us for their Christmas Eve, for their special La Posada celebration in December for Christmas time. So we did mention that back in our Christmas and SMA video, if you saw that. And we were really happy to take them out just to say thank you for kind of like a Christmas gift. And then we went with a couple couples to San Mezcal in San Miguel de Allende. This was also delicious. It's kind of similar ownership as La Parada, so just a good. You weren't drinking. I'm not really a big drinker, so I wasn't drinking. Tim was on antibiotics, which we're going to get to in a minute. But that was $53 just for the two of us. That was a good deal for what that was.
Did we say groceries were $216?
Wait, and I want to mention, I think I did say groceries were $216, but there is a new grocery store that opened up since we were last in San Miguel back in August, and it is fancier than I think most Whole Foods, and we loved it. We would go every maybe 2 or 3 days. We bought all of our meat there, a whole bunch of products. It was definitely higher priced, so I'm very surprised that we only spent $216. When I saw that number, I thought that there must be some mistake, because we bought plenty of food there. We cooked a lot in San Miguel.
Beautifully merchandised store. So
Yes.
just looking at this store is what's the word? Something to behold.
Something to behold.
It's something to behold.
Yes. This is not what we were thinking from our
No.
Mexican grocery stores.
It
And
is
so
not.
that's a new addition to San Miguel. It's called City Market, and it is fabulous.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
So, and also we're looking down here at our numbers, so apologize for all of the back and forth with our eyes. But so our fourth largest category is going to be home and lodging. That comes in at $1,166. Again, this cruise thing, as we mentioned earlier, fits into this. It's $985 in this category. So we've actually prepaid a lot of next year, so we'll see how that plays out. We
It makes for an expensive this year.
It does make for a very expensive this year. We also signed up for, at the end of the year, another credit card. We signed up for an American Express Platinum card, which comes with a variety of things that you can sort of wipe away. The cool thing about this card is that it's based on a yearly basis, and so even though we signed up for the card in December,
like the last few days,
got the perks in December, then those perks reset come January, and we're going to get them again for 2022.
Yeah.
So we signed
like
up for a hotel. That's exactly right, a double dip. We signed up for a hotel that we're going to be staying in Guadalajara. Like $165 is wiped away, so that's not represented in our numbers here at all, nor is the annual fee for this credit card. I'm sure we'll see that fee in January.
And Guadalajara is our next stop.
We had a fancy hotel that got wiped away. And then our last expense in this category that's of substance is our storage back in Denver for $106.
Yeah, so our next stop after Puerto Vallarta is Guadalajara for a full month. Okay, category number 5, I think it is, health and fitness. We don't pay any premiums for our ACA, Affordable Care Act plan out of Texas. We do have very high deductibles, so you won't see premiums in this category this year. That works out to $525. Now, I'll let Tim talk about his doctor's visit, but in a sec, so both of us went for a regular dental cleaning. It was excellent, 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 excellent. I mean, actually, I did film a full video in there, a real quickie one. I'm curious if anyone is interested in me going to the dentist and seeing what that experience might look like in Mexico. If you are, make sure to put a comment down below. If not, I don't know that I'm going to run that video as a dedicated thing. And then Tim also had a cavity, so he went back for. You don't do a cavity. I think what we've found at least with this dentist, maybe in Mexico, maybe just in San, I don't know. But you get your teeth cleaning, and if you have any cavities, you go back for that. And so he went back for a cavity.
Yeah, and we don't have this broken down on our spreadsheet in terms of the actual cost, but I think a dental cleaning was about $70, and I think my cavity was about $100. And the cleanings are, by the way, it's a dentist that's doing the cleaning.
Yes.
It's not a hygienist, so it's someone who's a doctor that's actually cleaning your teeth.
She was fabulous, spoke great English, lovely woman.
Yeah, so my doctor visit. So I had some stomach issues when we were back in the Yucatan. And for one day I was like miserable, and then the next day I still felt poorly, and then finally once we got to San Miguel, I started having some lingering issues, and so I decided to go to the doctor. I figured I'd be prescribed antibiotics, and so sure enough, the doctor prescribed a series of antibiotics for me. Also, they did an ultrasound when I was there, just to see what was going on. And so anyway, all told, I think the visit to the doctor was, do you remember how much it was?
About $200. Now let me even get a little more granular here. So Tim met with a doctor. I'm not even, people are obsessed, including us, with how healthcare works outside of the country. So I want to dive in here, and Tim's glossing over. So I was able to WhatsApp the doctor. We were heading to the gym, actually, in our gym clothes. And he said, come on over right now. I can see you right now. So on WhatsApp, we went on over. He speaks 5 languages fluently, he tells us. And not only does he have an ultrasound with a tech, and he is involved in watching what's happening on the ultrasound, he sends Tim in for blood work, urine test, stool test, full conversations with the doctor. We were in and out within a total of an hour with all this. He had antibiotic, a probiotic, and an anti-nausea prescription. All of these things.
No anti-nausea.
The anti-nausea was the other thing.
Another antibiotics. I had two different kinds of antibiotics.
Okay.
And probiotics.
Yeah, and all of that was $200. Now, he wanted to see Tim. That was on a Thursday. On Monday, he said, I wanted you to come back. And Tim's like, come on, it's only like 4 days. What's going to really happen? So what happened?
So we go back to the doctor, and sure enough, he's like, he sort of goes through all the testing that they did and the results, and suggested that I've been eating too much meat and some other things from our blood work. And then he wants to do an ultrasound. And so, so the things that they were looking for at the ultrasound, I personally didn't believe that it would provide any value. So I said, we can't afford the ultrasound. And he basically gives us a lecture on how to be financially responsible, and we need to allocate more money to our health care.
And stop traveling so much.
Stop traveling so much.
It's not that we can't afford it. Tim just used the fun. He didn't want to pay for it.
I didn't want to pay for it. I didn't think it made any sense.
It was like $50, $75 or something.
Yeah, so I didn't want to pay for another ultrasound.
And that was his way of saying, I don't think I want to pay for that, and just we don't find value in this.
So we got a little lecture from the doctor. But anyway.
Which was funny. So there's some serious like doctor splaining of financial whatever, like our financial advisor.
Yep. So moving on. So our last categories here, these are short and sweet. Utilities are $44. That was Amy's Google Fi service, and then I have a Mexican SIM card while we're here that I reloaded with Telcel, and I think my Mexican SIM card is like $10 for the entire month for 4 gig of data or something. It's phenomenal.
Fabulous.
So $44. Entertainment was also $44. That included our trip to La Gruta, which is the hot springs that we visited.
Oh, that was so much fun.
That was $24.
That was so much fun. So that was when we had the nail in the car tire, and so 5 of us went for maybe 3 hours. We had maybe 2 hours in the pools and an hour having lunch, and this was just on some weekday. Just so fabulous.
This
having
is our second,
an early independent fire life. Here we are in the pools for the day.
This is our second visit to this place. We did it back, I think, 3 or 4 or 5 years ago when we were here before 2016.
Yeah, with the mad scientist.
Yeah, and often they would deliver drinks to the pool. When we were there last time, they delivered drinks. I think because of COVID, maybe they weren't doing this. And also, I wasn't drinking because of antibiotics. So anyway, there's that. And then the remainder of this is some streaming services, newspapers, and things like that.
TV, music, so TV, whatever.
$44 for entertainment. Our next category is shopping. $12 we spent in this category. This is this virtual machine thing, which I'm going to be getting rid of sometime in 2022. It's just a toy that I've had. It's going away. And then taxes, our personal taxes, we paid $0 for taxes in the month of December.
Okay, so that is a big whopper of a month.
Yeah.
$7,703 for December. So we did not rein it in. I think our charitable contribution lets you know that we weren't really feeling too bad, that we are so far over budget. We're not going to talk about our year to date because we want to talk about all of that next week. So there you have it. Next time you see us, I think we're going to be in Guadalajara, right?
Yeah,
next time you see us. Oh, and here's a really cool thing if you're still here at the end. We're filming this video on Sunday before the video comes out. Tomorrow, Monday, is our 2-year nomad anniversary. So we have been nomads for 2 full years. I can say today, right now, I am living my best life.
I couldn't agree more.
Yeah, this is really paradise here in Puerto Vallarta. Our first time, it is heaven. So this may be the only video you see here in Puerto Vallarta. We'll see. So I guess with that, we'll see you next Wednesday.
Adios.
Hasta luego.